Hello everyone, welcome to Task IAS. Today we will discuss Ecological Anthropology Unit 9.8. In last days I was facing problem because I don't have access to my gadgets, but now I will try that you will get videos on time. So these are topics that we will discuss today: concept and methods of ecological anthropology, biocultural adaptations, genetic as well as non-genetic factors. So try to include these factors separately, genetic and non-genetic, so that examiner will have idea that you have complete information regarding this topic. Now man's physiological responses to environmental stresses, and we will discuss three stresses: hot desert, cold and high altitude climate. These are mentioned in our syllabus. Important notification is that PDF of all ethics as well as anthropology videos are available in our Telegram channel, and link of this channel is available in description of video. So enjoy these PDFs as well. Now ecological anthropology. So ecological anthropology study relationship between human beings and their environment, and here human beings includes cultural aspect of human being as well as physical aspect of human being. That means how environment impact human being, and here we will discuss human being as a total person. That means both cultural as well as biological aspects will be discussed. And according to this concept of ecological anthropology, humans shape the environment they live in, and culture also impact environment in which individual is living. That means there is a two-way relationship between environment and individual, because environment impact physically as well as culturally an individual, and similarly human being adopts different type of cultures that have role in changing environment as well. You can learn this two-way relationship by two different example. One is hunter-gatherer and second is farming community. So depending on the different environments, these different communities have adopted different type of survival mechanism. That means they have adopted different type of economic activities, that is hunter-gatherer as well as farming, and these both communities will use different type of techniques. For example, farming community will use tractor and other equipments, whereas hunter-gatherers use very simple type of techniques. For example, they will have basket to collect foods, or they will use bow and arrow to kill organisms that they want to hunt. So these are different techniques, and these techniques have impact on changing environment as well. That means here environment have decided which type of survival mechanism these communities will choose. Similarly, how different techniques have role in changing environment. These two different facts can be understood by these two different communities. So another aspect is that farming population will be large because they will have a more advanced type of survival mechanism which use modern machines like tractor. So we have discussed these concepts. Now different methods to study culture and environment relationship, as well as environment and physical relationship. So we will discuss these different methods. Most famous is Julian Stewart. We have discussed about him in unit 6 when we discussed about neo-evolutionism. So according to Stewart, there is a dynamic and two-way nature of culture-environment relationship. According to him, this relationship is dynamic. That means if there is a change in environment, culture will change, and if there is change in culture, environment will also change. So this two-way relationship has importance in deciding concept of adaptation, because human being, by using different cultural methods and different physical as well as genetic methods, try to adapt with changing environments. And his main focus was on culture because according to him, human beings utilize different cultural methods to adapt with changing environment. For example, if someone is living in colder climate, then they will try to make houses according to that environment. For example, igloo. These are houses made in Arctic or polar regions where walls are made of ice, and ice is a poor conductor of heat. So that will help in reducing exchange of heat. So these are different cultural mechanisms that help an individual in surviving in stressful situations. And according to Stewart, in every culture there are two types of institutions. Firstly, core institutions, and for which he has mentioned that there is a core culture part, for example economy, or which type of survival mechanism and community will adopt. So this core part is much more influenced by change in environment as compared to this outsider part. So this is a concept given by Stewart. This is a culture core area. So remember this keyword as well, which is associated with Julian Stewart point of view on culture environment relationship. Now there are other thinkers who have mentioned that theories which we apply in studying animal ecology, that means how ecology decide animal survival in different environments. Similar type of theories will be applicable to humans as well, because they have considered human beings as an animal. So these are mostly theories which focus more on physical aspect, and according to them every human being or every organism tries to maintain homeostasis. Homeostasis means how an organism tries to maintain balance in internal environment. For example, if there is a change in outside temperature, then by mechanism of homeostasis or internal mechanisms, an organism will try to maintain their constant temperature. Similarly, if there is a shortage of food, then body will try to adapt new mechanisms so that body can survive in stressful or food deficient environments. So there is focus on homeostasis, and they also mention that this homeostasis is not only applicable in maintaining balance in individual's body, but this balance is also important in our environment where different organisms interact with each other. So you can relate this with concept of food web, where different types of food chain are interconnected. So by this balance, a different type of homeostasis will be maintained between different organisms, between different trophic level, so that a constant energy flow between different organisms can be maintained. So you can mention that these thinkers have focus on maintaining homeostasis in individual's body as well as a balance between different organisms in any ecosystem. So this is keyword of this theory. Now there are another thinkers who has mentioned that when we discuss relationship of environment with both physical as well as cultural aspects, so here role of different cultural aspect is that any change in genes, that is physical aspect, due to change in environment can be transmitted from one generation to second generation. That means here cultural factors has role in transmitting different characteristics from one generation to another generation. That means there are genes are carrier of information, but cultural factors favor those conditions in which these genes can perform their work very well, and this transmission of information can take place. I hope you have understood this point. So there are different views which are given by different thinkers. Here we are not judging them that this point is more applicable or this is more applicable. We have to just study and we have to give different ideas in paper so that examiner will feel that we have in-depth knowledge of this topic. Now another school, that is evolutionary behavioral ecology, they have mentioned that environment work according to concept of natural selection. That means natural selection will work between different organisms, and any organism which have favorable biological as well as cultural traits, they will be favored by environment and others will be not favorable, and in these changing circumstances only this favorable individual will survive and others will extinct during the course of time. Now you can mention another example, that how Homo habilis, if someone has knowledge regarding these topics, so you will connect very well that how Homo habilis has become extinct during the course of evolution of human beings. So mention this example as well. Now according to them, this natural selection work both on physical as well as cultural aspect. So for physical aspect you can mention this example. For cultural aspect they have mentioned that how food procurement or survival mechanism will change according to different environmental situations. For example, if someone is living nearby coastal areas, then the fishing is most suitable food procurement method for that community. So this is a natural selection process where environment will choose only those communities which have more superior type of techniques for fish collection, and another community who is probably surviving on agriculture, they will have less chances because in coastal areas there is a frequent flooding. So that agriculture community is more vulnerable for disasters. So this you can write in role of natural selection in determining different cultural traits. Now during 1990s and later time period, there is a focus on studying integrating impact of environment on both cultural as well as physical aspects, because in second, third or in fourth, these different schools have focused more on one particular aspect, either physical or cultural, but in later times there is more focus on studying integrating aspect. So I hope you have understood this topic. If you have any doubt, you can mail me, and please revise these topics again and again. Now biocultural adaptations. So firstly, what is adaptation? So adaptation are those different mechanisms by which an organism or specifically human beings try to live in different environments which are not suited according to their physical and cultural aspects. But human being as a unique individual has a advantage. That means human being as a species, they have both physical as well as cultural traits that helps in adaptation, because when we consider other species or organisms, they have only physical aspects or physical traits, but human being utilize also cultural aspects in adapting to different environments. That's why human being is considered superior, because human being can survive in different environments starting from equatorial regions to polar regions. And in these adaptation mechanism, different types of aspects like physiological, structural, behavioral or cultural, different changes will happen in individual's body, and they help in adapting an individual to different environment or environment stress. So now physiological, these are those changes which brings changes in your body, but they are not inherited in next generation. That means physiological are temporary as compared to genetic, where genetic features are inherited to next generation as well. Now structural, of course, some population of any community will be extinct if not equipped with superior technology. So these structural changes or population decline or population growth, these changes will also happen. Similarly, if physiological or structural change happen, then the surviving population have some behavioral aspects or behavioral changes as well, and these behavioral changes and structural or psychological changes also brings cultural changes in population. So all are interconnected, and you can write any of the examples to explain these points. So this is diagram which is explaining how environment impact biological features and cultural features, and how these features also impacted by each other. Now these adjustments or adaptations can be temporary or permanent, or if these are permanent and inherited to different generations, then they are genetic. And if these adaptations are continuous, permanent, but not inherited to next generation, then also they can bring changes in phenotype variation, and this process will called physiological acclimatization and learned behavior. Here acclimatization shows that these adaptations are not very temporary but not that much permanent that they can bring changes in next generation as well. That means acclimatization behavior or changes are not inherited to next generation, but they are permanent, because once they have inherited in any individual, they will continue till his death. And in some situations these changes are bring to next generation, and these are genetic adaptations. And when these physical changes bring change in genetic composition, so genetic adaptation features will be transmitted from one generation to next generation. And when this change in genes will happen, then there is a change in allele frequency between different individuals of population. Now you can understand what is allele. There is a considered gene number X in human beings which leads to change in skin color. That means here gene X will determine what is skin color of an individual. Here X is a considered number. Now there are different forms of gene X in different persons, on the basis of which different melanin concentration will be present in population, and there are different traits or continuous traits of color variation between different populations. So what you have noticed is a particular type of gene will present in population. Consider this is number 12, this is or number 15, and there are different forms of this gene in different individuals. These different forms will bring change in color. So this is allele. These different forms are allele. So when genetic adaptation will happen, these physical changes will bring changes in allele frequency as well. Now physiological acclimatization or these genetic adaptation, these adaptations or favorable conditions will help an individuals to maintain homeostasis or internal balance between functioning of different organs or tissues. So what we have discussed till now, that in biocultural adaptations there is focus on biological adaptations as well as cultural adaptations. So till now we have discussed more on biological adaptation, where we have discussed how physiological adaptations, which can be temporary or permanent. Temporary are very short term, permanent can be of two types. Firstly, which can bring change in genetic composition, and second type of permanent physiological acclimatizations are those which will be present in an individual but will be not transferred to next generation. So we have discussed till now. Now we will discuss about cultural adaptation. So what is culture? Culture is complex entity of technological innovation, social institutions, belief system or different ideology which bring some changes in evolutionary aspect, and these evolutionary aspect can be biological as well as behavioral changes. So cultural in simple terms is your way of life, which can include different type of technologies or gadgets you use, or different type of social system, belief system, which have impact on your cultural as well as biological aspect. And here technology aspect is described in terms of different type of gadgets or instruments different communities use. For example, computers or tablets are used in present generation in developed world, whereas hunting and gathering societies still use very simple type of baskets or bow and arrow as an instrument. Over the past years, human evolution is product of different type of cultural as well as biological mechanisms which have integrated impact on human evolution. And these different type of biological as well as cultural adaptations have important role in adaptation of an individual in different environmental stresses, for example high altitude, cold and heat. So now we will discuss this biocultural adaptation with respect to different stresses, and which is our next topic. And first topic is responses to heat. That means when there is very hot, how human being will respond by biological as well as cultural mechanisms. So firstly is human maintain a relatively constant body temperature independent of environmental temperatures, because we are warm blooded organisms, and this homeostasis with respect to temperature maintenance occurs through a complex mechanism of heat gain and heat loss. That means our body will work through heat gain or heat gain or heat loss mechanism. So this is diagram that will help you to understand our body response with respect to heat as well as cold situation. Firstly, here will be high body temperature. Forget about this plus or minus sign. Focus on the core concept. For example, when there is high body temperature due to higher temperature outside, then this signal will send to hypothalamus, which is our brain's part. So now hypothalamus will utilize nerve pathway to decrease body's temperature. So first mechanism will be our blood vessels starting dilation. That means how blood flow in our vessels, that is capillary or arteries or veins in different capillaries, now blood flow will increase, and this will lead to more metabolic activity at surface level of our skin, because heat flow will be high, and this increased contact of blood vessels and our skin will lead to more heat leaves skin. So this is one of mechanism where blood vessels, especially which are nearer to surface of skin, they will have higher and continuous flow of blood, and that will lead to more heat loss through our skin. Secondly, more evaporation will happen or more sweating an individual will face, that will lead to decrease in temperature of body. So these both mechanisms will help in decreasing body temperature. Consider now in this situation, if outer environment's temperature is 45 degrees Celsius and your body temperature is 43, so by this mechanism body have reduced temperature to 42 degrees Celsius. Consider this. So this is one cycle. In another cycle, now 42 degrees Celsius, this indication will again send to hypothalamus, and similarly this path or this cycle will continue till the time your body temperature is maintained constant. Here I have considered 40 or 45 as an extreme situation, but consider core point that this cycle helps in reducing body temperature or maintaining body temperatures when outer situations are very hot. Similar is case with when outer situation or outer environment is very cold and here temperature is around 20 degrees Celsius, then again indication of low temperature will send to hypothalamus, and hypothalamus again utilize nerve pathway, and here different or opposite reactions will happen. That means here evaporation will be reduced and flow of blood in vessels will be decreased. That will help in increasing body temperature. And third mechanism will be more shivering, because by shivering your body will function, and when our body function, constant production of heat will happen in body, so that will help in increasing body temperature. So from this diagram I have explained body mechanism to heat as well as cold. Now we just read out what we have mentioned in slides. So in hot climate, our body adapt to heat stress through heat dissipation. So these are mechanisms to heat dissipation or heat loss from our body. And this body heat transfer can be through radiation, conduction, convection or evaporation. Because if your body temperature is very high and when you touch some colder surface, then through conduction heat flow will happen. So similarly other examples. Now what are genetic adaptation to heat or high temperature stress? Firstly, people from hottest region or mainly equatorial region, they will have largest surface area to body mass ratio, because if surface area is high, then body will have more area to lose heat in terms of evaporation or by increasing blood flow nearby surface area of skin. And these hotter regions include South Asia, Africa, India or Australia region. And this surface area or size relationship with our body will be discussed in two laws that we will discuss later. But firstly consider that how our genetic composition help in adaptation to heat stress. Now skin color, because higher concentration of melanin will protect an individuals from harmful UV rays, and that's why Negroid population or population from African countries which live in equatorial regions, and similar case with South Indian population which have slightly darker complex, because here melanin favorable to those communities to protect from harmful disease that can be caused by UV radiations. But in colder or Arctic region, people will have very fair color because that is favorable to that situation. Now we have discussed about genetic adaptations. Now cultural adaptations. So houses are constructed from that material that can release heat easily, so that inner environment of that house will remain colder as compared to outer environment. Similarly, clothing, people generally prefer white or lighter clothes in hot or summer, so that heat can be easily reflected back and heat absorption is minimum. Now responses to cold. So physical responses or physiological responses which are not inherited, I have discussed earlier in that diagram. So we have discussed about physiological responses. Now we will discuss about genetic as well as cultural responses. So here human physiological response will increase heat retention part, because now body shivering will increase or blood flow at surface level is decreased. You have to write those examples here. So similarly, flow of warm blooded, this will decrease. So these are physiological responses from diagram. Now third is fat layer that act as an insulator, because fat is a bad conductor of heat, that provide an extra layer of insulation. Now these are two different rules which impact the genetic composition of an individual. So first is Bergman rule. According to this rule, body size changes according to different environmental situations, and if someone is living in colder climate, in those populations they will have higher mass and less surface area, and that's why you will notice very less number of small animals in Arctic or polar regions, because colder climate favorable only those organisms which have larger mass but less surface area, so that they have less chances of heat loss. Now second is Allen rule. According to this, size of an individual will be decided by environmental factors, and in colder climates shorter appendages, that means hand or limbs, these are will be shorter length, because that will increase mass to surface ratio of any individual, and this will help in decreasing heat loss, because more surface area there is more chances of increasing heat loss from our body. So here focus will be on that appendages size will be reduced, so that heat loss will be minimum. But in hotter climate, in opposite environment, there will be longer appendages. For example, in sub-Saharan Africans, they will have longer appendages. So these are rules which determine genetic adaptations, because these will be transmitted from one generation to next generation. Now cultural adaptations to cold environment. Firstly, diurnal and nocturnal variation in temperature will happen in some environments. For example, aborigines of Australia, in those areas night temperature will be very less or in minus, but during day they will have 45 or 48 degrees Celsius temperature during daytime. So these aborigines of Australia, they have adopted a different cultural trait where they will wear no clothes and did not build shelters, and during night time what they will do, they open fire to nearby available material and leave nearby those fire that will provide a constant heat during night time, and during daytime they are wearing no clothes, so that will help in reducing warmth that they feel. Now Eskimos, these are those populations which live in Arctic or polar regions, and they build igloo houses, and these igloo houses have a wall made up of ice that will act as an insulating layer, and that prevent transfer of heat from inner wall of house to outside environment. So these are cultural adaptations to cold stress. Now responses to high altitude. This is last environmental stress we have to study. So due to high altitude, different type of stresses will develop in our body. Firstly, due to less oxygen, hypoxia situation will start. Secondly, cold situation, because with increasing altitude temperature start decreasing, low humidity, more intense solar radiation, that means in altitude or higher regions during daytime we will have intense solar heat, but during night time we will have very lower temperature, and decreased availability of different foods items or decreased nutritional basis, rough terrain, because topography again very difficult. So due to these all these factors, human face both physical as well as cultural stress in higher altitude, and this have impact on decreasing infant mortality, higher chances of miscarriage, prematurity among people who are residing at higher elevation. So this diagram explain how our bodies start to adapting in higher altitude stresses. This is adaptation level of an individual living in any area where they take birth or living from a long time. So once they faced environmental stress, maybe higher altitude or maybe cold or hot, any stress, their adaptation level decreased. But as time passes, they starting to acclimatize or they starting to adapting by different physiological cultural as well as genetic methods. Although genetic changes will take a long time, sometimes many generations, so but this is a general idea regarding how one's body will try to adapt with different stresses. So once this stress level or this acclimatization level reaches to this level, although this is slightly difficult for an individual to gain same level of adaptation in changed environment, but after a long time this adaptation level will increase and try to maintain some type of balance or homeostasis. Now, on exposure to high altitude, people acquire short-term modification or partial acclimatization in terms of increase in respiration rate, heart rate, because that will provide more oxygen and that will counter situation of hypoxia. Similarly, production of more RBC, because RBC will carry hemoglobin from one part of our body to another part. So these are physiological adaptations to high stress. Now, genetics adaptations. So larger chest among Andes. Andes are mountains in South America. So larger chests are found in Andes, which considered as a genetic adaptations. And these adaptations started from childhood until death, helping an individual in surviving in those stress areas. And generally, indigenous high altitude populations have higher genetic potential for growth of thorax or upper chest part. So this upper chest part growth or more area will help in developing more area of lungs, and these lungs exposure will help in increasing lung capacity that will necessary to counter hypoxia situation. Now, cultural adaptations. So people living in high altitude or stressful areas try to use more glucose because that will provide source of energy for our brain, and that's help in continuous working of our body, because if brain have energy that will help in countering hypoxia situation as well as maintaining our body homeostasis. So people in those areas have more exercise conditions because they are living in topographic or different and as well as difficult terrain, and these cultural adaptations of more exercise or more glucose intake will help in survival of those people at higher altitude. So thank you so much. I hope you have enjoyed this lecture. Please like, share and subscribe Task IAS so that benefits of our inputs will reach to a large number of people. Thank you.